First of all, thank you for receiving us in your workshop. We just visited your website where your entire work and projects can be found. Our first question regarding your website is the following. Why are you waiting so long time to show your work?
Well, creation takes time, especially the time to think about it. Regarding my work, even though you might not be able to tell what the material I use, the theme I address, it's it's very intimate for me. That's why I took some time for me to present my work. I'm not really an exhibitionist person. I'm more a voyeur, and I don't really want to reveal myself. Right now, for example, I'd rather behind the camera and not in front of it. My work is a little bit like my own child, and I try to be less possessive about it. I had the idea to present my work for a long time. I just had to figure out how and to do it the best way possible. Sometimes you just have to go for it and ask question to someone other than myself.
My second question is to continue with your website. We don't really know where to stand with ergonomics and the presentation. Uh, I have to say your website is a bit unusual for an artist. It looks more like the website of a brand. Why did you decide to make that choice in terms of presentation?
Well, the website itself is a production. It's the connection center of all my work. The majority of my work is based on the relationship between contemporary art and the luxury industry. You know, I've worked for a long time on the brand from this luxury industry in order to ask questions regarding the place of art and of the artist in our contemporary society. The idea to present my website in the form of a higher-hand brand is not a coincidence, but rather a long fruit idea. Presenting my work in the form of categories, we have the following categories: this collection, accessories, campaign, and news. Make this space, I think, more accessible to people because I use specific codes from the luxury industry and its marketing and helps questioning the place I think of art in our modern society. I ask myself about the place of the luxury industry in the contemporary art and the contrary. And finally decided to create my own brand where all my work will be get through it. This website helps pushing the idea of aesthetic at its peak, also called architecting. Those two notions are recurring notion in my work. Today, if you take a look at the majority of artist website, and there aren't a lot of them because people mostly look at the gallery website, you can see that the presentation is not so much original and looks like, I think, a portfolio, which I find hypocritical. Of course, I understand that you might consider my website like a travesty or critique or an usurpation, but I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to ask some question.
Always regarding the presentation, your website looks like a brand or a commercial website, but we don't find any shopping place, any e-shop online, like it's usually the case.
The idea of selling piece of art on the internet already exists. It's an idea developed by business school students. In my case, I think that art has to be felt. The way you are going to be affected by it is going to be the thing that makes you want to buy a piece. I feel like selling art pieces via internet or e-shop, piece that you can only see via internet is an idea created by ignorant people for ignorant people, and it feels like more and more people follow this idea. For those who know me, my website, this website, is a retrospective clearly of all the different projects I have created for the past 6 or more years. I have decided to reorganize all of my work from those last few years in order to present a finished product.
Regarding the material used and your creative process, we can see that you work with different mediums. Can you tell us more?
Well, the medium used in my creative process doesn't matter much. Actually, the piece itself doesn't hold any value in its physical and material aspects. What's important to me is the idea of creation and the reasoning in my work. The value of the object is actually an important topic in my work. A lot of today artists are what I call monomedium, which means that they always propose the same type of works made with the same tools and materials. They either lack creativity and inspiration, or they make enough money with it and don't want to try to try something else. I personally don't see myself using the same process and the same medium for the maybe the next 20 years. This is also why the website took so long time to make. Creation is, I think, a little bit like a love or friendship story relation. I first start by visualizing the idea in my head. Then when it starts being too, how can I say that, too intense, I put my idea on paper, start drawing it. When I'm finished with drawing, I think about how exist in its physical material forms. Because I spend a lot, really, I spend a lot of time of creating. So sometimes several months go by between the original idea and its material creation, like it's the case for a love relationship. Meanwhile, I've already spotted some defects in the piece, some anomalies, irregularities, and imperfection. It's a perpetual and constant questioning. It's very hard to finally find the moment where you won't change your piece anymore. It means you are finally happy and satisfied with yourself, which I'm rarely. What's also surprising is that even thought I have specific theme in my head when I start like marketing, luxury, contemporary art. When I'm finished with the project, that time has passed and I take a look at it again. I find a new theme, a new sense of interpretation, a new perspective within. I can feel that my work is sensual, even though it wasn't the case when I started.
The idea of shopping appears to be predominant, whether with shoes, fashion photographs, bags. Where does your work stand with this notion of shopping?
Indeed, shopping is an important theme on my work. In society in general, shopping is predominant. Everything is done so that everyone can be a model consumer. This exclusion and critique is not new. In fact, many similarity and lies have been made, but with time, I think things change, and with today technology, new means of consumption because available, so that we always consume more and more. Shopping has become essential to us. We exist for getting things and not being anymore. This kind of constant discovery and innovation frenzy with internet as a leader removes, I think, clearly sometimes some time corridors, so to speak. Take, for example, Remklas, the renowned Dutch architect. He explained in his book, I think that if I remember, the name of the book is Harvard Design School Guide to Shopping, that shopping is the last remaining form of public activity. Through more and more predatory forms, shopping has really colonized and replaced almost every aspect of urban life, whether with historic city center, suburbs, streets, and also train station, museum, hospital, school, internet, of even the army. Everything is more and more shaped by shopping space and shopping mechanism. Church, for example, church imitate shopping center in order to attract followers. Airports have transformed travelers into consumer in order to be more profitable. Museums, this is the same for the museums. They survive because of shoppers. In Europe, even for the traditional city, try to visit it at first. They have now become vector of an American consumerism. Um, as for the great architecture, even though it despises the trading world, it does use the configuration of shopping and consumerism to design museum and to design university, and the city recover the health by getting inspired by shopping center, I think. Within the contemporary art world, we have, for example, Andy Warhol, who promoted this idea, and it's not the only one, but he certainly claimed it loud and clear, and made its trading mark. I'm not actually a big fan of Andy Warhol. This is the same as for the internet. I think it's going to change. It has already started to change this idea that architecture only exists through consumerism. As of today, renowned architects propose what I call visual excitement with an outcome of shopping and consuming. I have a lot of interest for the architecture, and it's true that the purely artistic and functional appearance of a location, a building, has been replaced by its aesthetic appearance and its profitable aspect. That's one of my topic I discuss in my work. For example, by using a photo montage, I think if I remember, it's in the campaign part of the website. It's called Planet of Aesthetic, and you can find the Guggenheim Museum from Gary in the movie Planet of the Apes. The idea is that shopping will slowly kill architecture, which implies that there won't be architects left. But web designer is an idea that's growing, I think. Regarding the relationship between contemporary art and luxury you talked about earlier, why are you attracted by those two worlds? Actually, I am only attracted by the contemporary art. I have always been passionate about art in general since I was a kid, and after my academic studies were focused on art histories first, and then digital and picture management. The attraction for contemporary art came after, pretty quick actually. However, I have no attraction for the luxury industry. The collaboration and connection between those two worlds are numerous now, and for the past 10 years I have asked myself about the meaning of all this. Which role does each of those entities play, and in which extent can one influence the other? Also, why is there this link between those two worlds, the luxury industry and the contemporary art world? Outside of my artistic sensibilities, what I have noticed can be considered as a sociologic somehow. Also, outside this almost academic aspect of my work, the foundation of my plastic practice, my heart, are bound to my own story, in fact, my past. My arrival, for example, in this country, in France, and my life before coming here in France. I think that I am the only one able to understand that my work is in fact autobiographical. This is deeper than Prada shoes and Chanel bags.
So you talk about sociological art. My next question is, what do you think is the claim of contemporary art in our society? Which part is it supposed to play?
I don't know about sociological art. In my case, the thematic revolves around the role of contemporary art in our society. Today, the panel of artistic proposal is wide. I think art should challenge you on any subject as possible. If you enter, for example, in a museum or a gallery calm and serene, and that you come out the same way with maybe beautiful picture or image in your head, but no emotion whatsoever, you didn't get much of the experience. I think that art should always challenge you emotionally. You must go out of there and asking yourself question, even it out of shock. You have to ask yourself about the artist, what he wanted to express, and why, and from maybe your own opinion about your emotion after seeing his work. I think this after fruit helps you getting forward, and I think that this is clearly the taste of art.
You explained earlier that the connection between art contemporary world and the luxury industry are an inspiration for your work. Here is my question. Do you think that art is luxury?
Of course it is. For numerous reasons, I would say that luxury is vain. The superficial and the essential are two recurring concepts in my work. Luxury is not essential, we don't need it to live a life. Art has always been tied to money, so much that it becomes money. Today, it is even part of the social attributes that show you've succeeded. Coming back at the last question, art is also the reflection of society, a reflection shaped by the artist to better question it. In that sense, contemporary art has become a marketplace, a peculiar zone of commercial trade. The globalization and the fact that the market has taken control of the art have changed things. As of today, art is completely, I think, denatured. At least that the way I see it. Art now reacts to new codes and is governed by a consumer need, which I think is due to the industry luxury. Luxury and art can be experienced the same way, and we can observe always more and more collaboration between those two worlds. But what I can see is a ruler and an obedient, and the obedient one is not the one I would like to see occupying this position.
Regarding your plastic practice, you use and reuse objects or picture image that you transform again. Can you tell us more about it, about this creative process?
In the form and the content, my plastic practice invests entirely the idea of appropriation, whether with object or image picture. Appropriation is the root of my practice. I also appropriate myself the work of renowned artists who have shined by also using appropriation. Maybe I think of Richard Prince. The idea I have of appropriation is using and reusing pieces of art, picture, image, movies, daily object, and steal them away from their meaning to reflect better on the object itself or on something very different. People often call it copying, but I don't see it that way. There is obviously a visible and concrete inspiration behind that. And I think that seeing appropriation like a copy, like a replica, is very reducing. Appropriation has always been part of conceptual art.
My next question is about some of your pieces. We hesitate whether if this is a tribute or a critic.
You know, appropriation is vast, and the majority of the bankable artists I address in my work are artists I really love, and I have long studied and followed at the university and since a long time. But before playing a tribute, you first have to be critical. For example, I really love Richard Prince's work. I think his work is great, and I'm always been excited by what he does. But when I see his collaboration with Louis Vuitton and the result of it, the collection, the bags, I'm kind of uh, I'm kind of tired. Same thing, for example, with Sylvie Fleury with the mirror bag. Well, in this case, there is a difference. In this case, there is a much more interesting judicial story behind it, and when you know that she won her case against LVMH for copy, maybe it's yes, maybe I think it's more interesting. But Louis Vuitton is a brand that use famous artists and borrows their codes and associate associate it with the brand. You know, the idea is to add cultural codes in order to reinforce the picture, the image of high end of the brand. You know, for example, dressing Naomi Campbell and Kate Moss in nurses. I'm not really impressed by what Richard Prince did. You know, I find very strange that fact that money can make you give up your critical thinking and make you do the exact opposite thing of what you usually criticize. I'm talking about Richard Prince, but it's the same for architecture. Take, for example, Frank Gehry, and compare what he used to do when he started, when he was younger in Los Angeles, in LA, and what he's doing now. This is exactly opposite, and well, yes, of course, I don't understand. In terms of appropriation, sometimes there is there is no tribute or critic, only for me inspiration. You know, I remember when I went to the Biennale of Venice in Italy, there was Joana Vasconcelos representing the Portugal, and in the entrance of the Portuguese wing was her sculpture, the bride. This sculpture did not left me insensible, and even though I'm not usually a big fan or critic of her work. I really felt affected emotionally by this piece.
And does this idea of appropriation only apply to contemporary art?
No, I don't think so. We find the idea of appropriation everywhere in our society. In my work, I often add idea which I carried out to discover later on that other artists had also done similar work. This is why you have to refine your work to open new perspective, to create new what I can call playgrounds and take into account the similar work of other artists. You know, I think art is a lot of research before anything else. As for our society, if you take design or advertising, the idea of research and appropriation is fully integrated. However, there is a big, for me, difference between appropriation within art, contemporary, and what I can call design. For me, design, this is advertising, communication, and marketing. Art contemporary doesn't hide the appropriation. It's clearly stated. Where in design the appropriation is hidden. You know, hidden, and you can consider it as evaded. Regarding the art world, if you take, for example, Roy Lichtenstein, maybe Andy Warhol, or Marcel Duchamp, for example, with his artwork LHOOQ, which is the copy of Mona Lisa, whom he had a moustache. I don't know what is the name in English. I think this is in French. This is moustache. The original artwork is clearly curated, you know. It's an explicit and deliberate appropriation. A contrary example is Shepard Fairey, an American printmaker and illustrator. He is always known for his poster Hope with the US President Barack Obama, while he used photography as source from his work without mentioning its origin for artistic and political purpose, you know. And if I remember, the photographer's name is Moni Garcia, was contracted to take the picture of the US President Barack Obama, asked for financial compensation for using her photography. The poster of Shepard Fairey, based on three colors and infographic technique. This is for me clearly an appropriation at its best, of course, but undeclared. And if you take, for example, the brand Apple is a perfect example of today undeclared appropriation in the advertising space. Apple realized some years ago a very flashy campaign with monochrome background and black bodies with iPod in their hands. The body seems to be floating weightless, and they are contorted to better represent, I think, the idea of music or motion and energy, you know. Well, regarding this campaign, if you know the work Men in the Cities of Robert Longo, you can see that it's a pale copy. It's the same always with Apple when they shoot a short film called Hello. I think it was for the iPhone. Well, once again, you find similarities with the short film Telephones shoot in 1995, I think, by Christian Marclay, where you can see phones ringing and actors picking up the telephone and saying hello again and again. If you take the music world, Coldplay and the album Viva la Vida, you can see that the album cover represent Eugène Lacroix painting. I don't know what is how can I say that in English, but in French this is La liberté guidant le peuple. For example, that likes and knows a little bit about art. This painting is well known, but I don't think that everyone knows around the world about this painting or this painter, and so it's appropriation because people don't imagine it's someone else. For me, it's someone else's work, which is
so you have several inspiration and very different medium. However, the original idea is recurrent. Can you tell us more about it?
Indeed, the idea is the most important thing. It doesn't matter whether you use photographs, videos, sculpture to material express this idea. The inspiration are numerous for me. We talked, for example, before about Richard Prince and other, but there is another people I am inspired by. I could not speak about my work without speaking about Guy Debord, of course, and we talked about appropriation in art and design, but we could also talk about situationism, and specifically Italian situationism. We could also talk about aesthetic in the art world, in the luxury industry. There are a lot of references, a lot of referent links between all of this, and we could talk about it for hours. You know, there is a citation of Prince. There is a quote of Richard Prince. I really love. I find it very funny. If I remember, this quote was put on the Fendi a baguette bag. This is a little bag of the Italian brand Fendi. If I remember, I went to a psychiatrist. He said, "Tell me everything." I did, and now he's is doing my hair.
I have a question regarding the notion of aesthetic. Can you tell more about that notion of aesthetic in art, in general maybe, and in your work?
Yes, this notion is very simple and widespread. Today, architecture produces sculpture, and contemporary art is answering two questions. These two questions are: does it look beautiful, and can it sell? Uh, at your last question, I just talked about Guy Debord, and Debord actually talked about it with this quote. This is capital. The capital has such a high degree of accumulation that it became a picture, image. The market economy finances the architecture aesthetic excessiveness. Our society is built on picture, on image, and so does our identity. With the internet, it has gone worse. We generate digital pheromones on a high level to feed our own nothingness. In fact, it's actually a very interesting subject. The relation between our ID and internet IP, the identity change that internet promotes. Nowadays we are brought to a sort of single life, single food, single interest, single culture, using all that means necessary like media culture or and politics. That's what Guy called the end of the caste. Alfoster also approach this thematic and name it in the well, sorry for my English, but I don't know what is exactly the name in English. I think this is in French this is indistinction. In English I think this is indistinctness. This is a very interesting subject, and I also introduce in my work and of course criticize the indistinctness is actually even present in art gallery. I feel like seeing the same proposals and the same laying out, the same artist in gallery or museum. But anyway, earlier I quote very well-known artists, but I also love and follow on a daily basis a lot of other not known artists. There is not only Richard Prince or maybe Salvatore or Murakami. Well, I don't like so much Murakami, but there is a lot of other artists not known and who have a very interesting practice for me, I think.
And why do you think that the luxury industry is so interested by the art contemporary world?
Well, in fact, it's quite simple. Everything is connected. If you go to shops, for example, as Zara or H&M, you will find exactly the same of not of products, but of looks that you can find in the luxury or couture in French we said store. Besides the quality of the making, maybe yes. Meanwhile, luxury brands collaborate excessively with contemporary artists. Besides the fact that shopping has become a cultural act, this greedy interest of luxury brand for contemporary art is proof for me of lack of inspiration. There is for this industry, for the luxury industry, there is a search for reenchantment of the merchandise, and they try to find it in contemporary art. To be honest, as long as art contemporary remains independent and obviously critic, I don't think so.
And about this collaboration between the luxury industry and the art contemporary world, can you maybe give me some example about what you like and what you don't like?
Numerous examples of collaboration between the art and the art place, the art contemporary world, and the luxury industry, the luxury world. There are brands like Dior, Chanel, even Cartier that diversify its activities in a lot of different things. The idea of sponsorship in art is not new. In fact, it has always existed. Regarding the luxury, however, this is a little bit different because it comes to industrial creation. They have the same clientele, same customer as the art place. So they decided to get artists so they could have both world assembled, you know. Personally, I see a very big difference between these two worlds. The luxury industry is for me is a commercial world. When you talk about high fashion, you refer it to the in French we said maison de couture. This is the house, the brand. When you talk about art or art contemporary, you refer to a human being, a person, and that's not for me commercial. I do not think that art should remain art and fashion should remain fashion, you know. I know it's very, of course, this is very exciting for an artist to create, to stage, showcase, to face new challenges, to address maybe a new market, to be able to work with material. You will have the occasion to work with because of finance. So yes, of course, when you work with the luxury house, it's this is very interesting in this way because maybe you can approach some new techniques, some new materials, and maybe you can have some different finances. But but for me, yes, there is a big differences between these two worlds, between both worlds. You know, it's not the same. You can consider it the luxury industry at the same with the game place, who is the art contemporary world. You know, but there are differences between the brands that do towards collaboration. For example, LVMH with Louis Vuitton has collaborated with an impressive list of artists like James Turrell, Olafur Eliasson, Richard Prince, Erwin Wurm, Murakami, and more. But really, the artist is only there to help the brand make more money, I think, and valorize some bags or shoes or clothes. The idea with the LVMH is to add a logo to the brand, and not a simple logo, but a cultural logo, known and recognized in the art world, in the art space. You know, there are other brands such as Hermès, comme des Garçons, that do an excellent job with the contemporary creation, I think. There is a real and honest dialogue between both the brand's team and the artist, and the result it's worth it. You know, they are able to blend the universe of the artist and of the brand with expertise, and even for the brands who remains the sponsor and as of course the last word on the creation. They are able to produce very effective collaboration that translate an emotion at the end of the art pieces, you know. And for me, in this case, the autonomy of art must be, and she is, preserved. Indeed, I talked earlier about LVMH, and for me, LVMH is the brand that had of course, the biggest wallet regarding the sponsorship in art. My first interest, in fact, yes, it's about all the things deployed by the luxury industry around the art contemporary place. In my work, I approach the luxury products like an artwork, but in fact, this is very controversial. This is not necessarily how I see the luxury industry product. but this is like the industry, like this industry, want to claim these products to be, in fact. I'm not against sponsorship. The luxury industry had the quasi-total monopoly on most of the cultural events in art contemporary world, in contemporary art. However, sometimes the result is not really there. I think so, especially when you take a look at the list of the artists solicited. I don't know. There can be a lot of different artists, but if I can talk about Sylvie Fleury, Richard Prince, Murakami, and maybe sometimes Wim Delvoye. And I have another reflection. Although there is, for me, a new category of young emerging artists coming and taking that same way of artistic luxury partnership. There is, if you analyze GR's works or maybe some works by Daniel Arsham, the question I'm asking myself is where are the capacity of liberty and independence of those artists gone, and how can one resist thinking in that same type of collaboration where the for me the critical thinking of an artist ends up being transformed both and reduced to sometimes nothing. I feel like those artists now function like real companies, in fact, like a real brand. We don't speak about human being. We don't speak about artists anymore. We now speak about brand, in fact, yes. Regarding the artists I like, there are a lot, but more particularly on the collaboration. And Green and Draxet are the one that really pulled through. Uh, they are amazing and offer for me a very very critical approach, very different from what we are used to see in gallery or in museum. And I really love and Green and Draxet's work because for me this is very critical about the art world and the place of contemporary art in our society today. In difference maybe with other artists like GR or Arsham, that for me this is the perfect example of the attraction of globalization on contemporary art, in fact. Otherwise, I really like the works of the Swiss Urs Fischer. Well, I would say that's all regarding the big names. There are other artists I really like that choose other practice of work, like for example Gerard Jamset. For example, it does spectacular wood sculpture, and of course the Brazilian Rafael Rosendahl, which works in the digital space, create websites that are artwork, and I really like and I really love, I adore his digital approach, and clearly the result is amazing. So my next question is about the notion of indistinctness. You speak about it earlier in the culture. What did you mean by that? Indistinctness, it's the mass culture, the globalization. Before there was a difference, between art and advertising. Those two notions were different as economy and culture. Today, this distinction is not there anymore. Art and advertising, culture and economy are just one, and the quality of the products does not matter anymore. The only things that do matter today are marketing and communication. Today, I think we live in a big supermarket. The only difference is that we maybe don't progress in the same shelves. The new world has killed the social order distinction and the cultural hierarchy. There is no more thinking about a low or average culture. Both have merged with the globalization, and now from just one entity only, this is a mass culture. For example, fashion, music, luxury. Nowadays, Marina Abramovic collaborates with Jay-Z, Lady Gaga with Jeff Koons, and GR and Daniel Arsham are very close to Pharrell Williams. So I really think that some codes have been broken in our globalized world. Today, everyone has become equal, in fact, in his identity and his culture, and these equalities deserve only the economy, in fact, that's all. We don't care whether or not it's original, maybe, or if it's revolutionary. The only question there is to ask is, can we sell it? In fact, I think this is partly the fault of the postmodernism, in fact, in art. This idea of opening art and culture to the general public has allowed the general public to contemplate art, but also to be a part of it. And public influence equals artist influence equals reading them. I don't like Warhol, for example, Andy Warhol, but today you can exist if you are able to impose your slogan or brand referring to the 15 minutes of glory of Andy Warhol. You know, this is very funny because when I was at a university, people used to say that I was a situationist, and this is very important to understand that I'm not doing politics, and I'm not trying to say that maybe it was better before. I'm just trying to draw the conclusion of our society to explain my vision inside my creation. In fact, I think that the value that authentificate art are now really questioned, and I am for a profound change, a transformation of the cultural field. Great, this interview is now coming to an end. Thank you for explaining your work and your vision. Well, thanks for inviting me.
See